The number you have dialed has been changed. The new number is, please note, the new number is...
Gesucht wird Jesus Christus. Angeklagt wegen Verführung, meist in ärmlichen Wohngegenden auf. Seine Umgebung sind Gotteslästerer, Staatenlose, Zigeuner, Prostituierte, Waisenkinder, Kriminelle, Revolutionäre, Asoziale, Obdachlose, Arbeitslose, verurteilte Gefangene, Geflohene, Gejagte, Misshandelte, Zornige, Kriegsverweigerer, Verzweifelte, Hippies, Gammler, Fixer, Ausgestoßene, zum Tode Verurteilte. Der Gesuchte verbreitet utopische Ideen und muss als gefährlicher Anführer bezeichnet werden. Zweckdienliche Angaben, die zu seiner Festnahme führen, nimmt jede Polizeistation entgegen. Ich werde von der Polizei gesucht. Ich werde von der Polizei gesucht, weil ich in die Welt hinaus schreie, dass die bestehende Ordnung untergehen wird. Ich bin nicht der offizielle Kirchen-Jesus, der unter Polizisten, Bankiers, Richtern, Henkern, Offizieren, Kirchenbossen, Politikern und ähnlichen Vertretern der Macht geduldet wird. Ich bin nicht euer Superstar, der seine Rolle am Kreuz für euch weiterspielt und dem ihr aufs Maul schlagt, wenn er aus der Rolle fällt. Jesus ist da, rufen die Gotteslästerer. Jesus ist da, rufen die Staatenlosen. Jesus ist da, rufen die Zigeuner. Jesus ist da, rufen die Prostituierten. Jesus ist da, rufen die Waisenkinder. Jesus ist da, rufen die Kriminellen. Jesus ist da, rufen die Revolutionäre, die Asozialen, Arbeitslosen, Obdachlosen, Verurteilten, Gejagten, Misshandelten, Verfolgten, Zornigen. Jesus ist da, rufen die Kriegsverweigerer. Jesus ist da, rufen die Verzweifelten. Jesus ist da. Jesus ist da. Jesus ist da, rufen die zu Tode Verurteilten. Jesus ist da, rufen die Fixer, die Gammler, die Hippies, die Ausgestoßenen. Jesus ist da. Jesus ist da. Wir brauchen ihn. Und sie kommen zu Jesus gelaufen und sie schleppen auch die Kranken und die Krüppeln vor Jesus hin. Jesus sagt, wer mir nachfolgen will, der verleugne sich selbst. Der glaube an nichts als die Wahrheit, die ich verbreite, dann lade er sich freudig das Kreuz der Erkenntnis auf und folge mir nach. Ein Soldat ruft Jesus zu: Ich will dir nachfolgen. Was soll ich tun? Jesus antwortet: Zieh deine Uniform aus und wirf sie weg. Dann folge mir nach. Ein anderer sagt, ich will dir nachfolgen, wohin du auch gehst. Was soll ich tun? Jesus antwortet, verteile alles, was du hast, unter denen, die nichts haben. Dann folge mir nach. Der Papst ruft Jesus zu. Ich will dir nachfolgen in Ewigkeit. Was muss ich tun? Jesus antwortet, halt's Maul und folge mir nach.
I think perhaps we should go now, don't you?
Hi, and welcome to Hopwood at Large. That we're replaying Klaus Kinski's famous or infamous performance of Jesus Christ Savior from, I think, Brendan, it's around 1970. It's a fascinating film that was made of it. And Kinski was a unique individual. Brendan was asked me about him during the last show. He, of course, made several masterpieces with Werner Herzog, the great German director, great West German director. That was back when Germany was twain in two. Brendan, Herzog, as a young man, his mother actually rented part of like the apartment to Klaus Kinski, who was a madman even back then. Kinski, as a young man, I think he was born in 1926, the same year my father. My father went to war, left in when he was 17 in 1943. He quit West High and joined the Navy. Uh-oh, there goes my cane now. Brendan, make sure I don't leave here without my cane. And you can always speak up, Brendan, if you want to. But I think that, Kinski was in the Wehrmacht, the German army, and he went through the fall of Germany. And, nobody could go through something like that without getting PTSD or just going flat crazy. But he had a great intensity as an actor. And if you watch this whole film, you can find it online now. You haven't been able to access this for like 40 years. Nobody has been able to. But it's online now. Klaus Kinski, Jesus Christ, Savior. And when you watch it, you have like lefties are there harassing him. And people are baiting him in the audience. And he's like a punk rock star, like a Johnny Lydon of, what was that? Oh my God, what it's like to get old. I'm going to turn 60 later this year. John Lydon. The Sex Pistols and later Public Image Limited, which, that in-your-face type of performance. And it's quite fascinating. I'm playing it, of course, because would the people at the border be somebody that Jesus would care for? And certainly he wouldn't shun them. But I don't want to simplify that situation. Well, today I got a hat on. I just bought it. Can you zoom in on my hat, Brendan? There we go. It's the points of the compass. Now, what was it that Hamlet said about, what was he, north by northwest? Once again, my memory. I used to have large parts of Shakespeare committed to my memory, but with the internet, I can the fragments, I can go find it. But I also have the Red Sox hat. A friend of mine, an old Army buddy, who was down at Fort Meade with me, although that's probably more information than anybody needs, is going to call in at the quarter hour, and he's a Yankees fan. I guess that's all really to talk about. So we'll be doing a baseball show, and I think there's still a background for that, Brendan, at the quarter hour. Then at the next quarter of hour, Norm Moody, who has the show after me, Norm's Community Corner, is going to come on. And I was going to say fill up the time. As you notice, I don't have any guests. You won't see Republicans on my show, but I think you all know you won't see Democrats on my show either. The Ray Buckley Party, formerly the New Hampshire Democratic Party, is not a fan of your host. You're less than humble host, by the way. Oh my God, I was talking to Matt Connerton on his radio show yesterday. I had a dream of Stinky Gerard. That's when you know it's time to step back from politics, when you start dreaming about somebody like Stinky Gerard. And, well, we got 6 more minutes. Politics. What can you say about politics? Harry Truman said if you want a friend in Washington, buy a dog. That's so true. I found out a couple of weeks ago. Well, you would need to know. Well, we'll go from it backwards. A friend of mine was talking to me a couple of weeks ago, and he revealed that he and his wife were given an award named after Kathy Sullivan, the former chairman of the New Hampshire Democratic Party, or her family, or whatever. And they never bothered to tell me. They were giving it at the Flag Day dinner. And I think they were embarrassed to tell me because, truth be told, Gene Martin, who's the head of the Manchester City Democrats, was put in place by Ray Buckley, and his machinations, in my opinion. From what I understand, when I was going to run for state rep last time, in 2018. Yeah. And Tim Smith, who's the incumbent, I figured it would just be us because my friend Gary, who's always like my, what you call it, fiscal agent. Well, Gene Martin and somebody approached his wife, Heidi, who is now the state rep, and a friend of mine. I was the best man at the wedding. We go back to 1964 with kindergarten, and recruited her to run against me. So and then you have the thing where a month later, I can't afford to go to any event like $75 to go see Elizabeth Warren, who's one of my favorite candidates for the presidency, if not my favorite. I covered her back in 2012, and although I'm leaning towards Joe Biden right now, but isn't that something, you know? She was the keynote speaker at the Manchester City Democrats dinner, the Flag Day dinner, and they got an award. I was never told. You know, at various other functions, like when Bill Barry was given an award, they asked me to be, on the panel, and I gave a speech between a U.S. Senator, Maggie Hassan, and a U.S. Congresswoman, Carol Shea Porter, but this information, nobody bothered to tell me. It's fascinating, isn't it? If all viewers of Ward 13 probably know, that go way back, that I revealed, years before WikiLeaks revealed it, that Ray Buckley interfered with the re-election of Carol Shea Porter in 2014, in my opinion. We have to get that in there because we have strategic lawsuits against public participation in this state. And you don't see the Democrats running out to put an anti-SLAPP law in, do you? You don't see them going out of their way to have a real whistleblower law, because the one we have now is completely gutless. It's interesting to think about all this stuff because last week I did a show about Ed Coyce, the whistleblower up at the Veterans Hospital. Now, Carol Shea Porter needed money in the last weeks of her campaign, as the WikiLeaks dump that came in 2016, late in 2016, revealed. Of course, I had revealed it before. I had some videotape where she was talking about how she went to Buckley, if memory serves me correct, and asked him for money. And it wasn't forthcoming. As the WikiLeaks leak shows, in my opinion, Ray Buckley wanted to clear that seat. And he did, because Ginta got elected by a very, very razor-thin margin. And I think a reasonable person might assume that Carol Shea Porter would have won if she had gotten that money. And when you read the WikiLeaks leak, people were arguing for Carol, and one of the things they pointed out was that she was great for veterans, which she was, whereas the union leader in the 2014 campaign pointed out there was a small piece they published by, not one of their writers, I think, but it was an opinion piece, and it was prominently featured, that Frank Ginta didn't do anything for veterans. In fact, I have heard from as reliable a sources as you could get, that when he finally got defeated in 2016, when they moved the cases over to Senator Shaheen's office, it was shocking that there weren't many of them. Because in my opinion, and other people, including like the union leader, he just didn't give a damn about veterans. So when we're talking about Ed Coyce, the whistleblower, we have to think about Ray Buckley's role in what happened up at the Veterans Administration during when Frank Ginta took over again and everything went to hell. Think about what happened if you've read the Boston Globe Spotlight series. It was pretty shocking what happened up there, isn't it? Of course, this is Manchester in the state of New Hampshire, where silence is golden. Well, I agree with people like Bertrand Russell, Lord Russell. He had in 1967, he held a commission. It's kind of like the Dewey Commission that looked into the Stalin show trials of 1937 and 38 and pronounced them bogus. And Lord Russell, had the Russell Commission. It was in Stockholm, and it looked into charges of genocide in the Vietnam War. And the book that was published was of the proceedings, wasn't the full proceedings, but an interesting gloss, revealing such things as the free fire zones where you could kill anybody with impunity, any peasant, man, woman, or child. And the title of that was Against the Crime of Silence. Silence, I agree with the people that anti-genocide campaigners, activists, whatever you want to call them, that silence is a crime. Silence is the golden rule here in New Hampshire, particularly amongst Democratic politicians, don't you think? I think so, but that's just my opinion. I think about that often because it was in 2015 that my health care up at the Veterans Administration was rapidly unraveled. You know, folks, you don't see any Democrats talking about veterans, do you? With this exception, I want to make of Joyce Craig, who's trying to give veterans back an exemption that was taken away from them on property taxes several years ago. I want you to know one thing. Chris Pappas, our congressman, is wonderful. He's outstanding. He's doing an outstanding job for veterans. He's up there. And you know something? I knew he would be. I knew that he would be. I'm not going to bore you with private conversations I had with him or what goes on behind the scenes, because who am I? Very small potatoes in the scene. I don't hear from any of the unions or anything for endorsements, because just as we saw 2 years ago with Joel Elber when he was running for alderman, Joel Elber, who publicly supported the teachers union and went out on the line with them, they just didn't even I was his campaign manager. Never even bothered to contact him. They were just going to give that endorsement to a 19-year-old kid that was the Ray Buckley party's candidate. Oh boy, folks, there's so much to talk about. I'm waiting for my friend to call in. Why isn't he calling in? Maybe we're going to have to go hook Norm and bring him in here early, because it's enough to make you angry. And I don't like to get angry because it triggers me. It puts you in something called combat mind. Hey, why don't we roll a? Brendan, you still out there? Why don't we roll that 6-minute intro because it has our good friend Joel Elber on, and hopefully we'll have a guest when I come back.
Always look on the bright side of life. Always look on the bright side of life. Some things in life are bad, they can really make you mad. Other things just make you swear and curse. When you're chewing on life's gristle, don't grumble, give a whistle. This'll help things turn out for the best. Always look on the bright side of life. Always look on the right side of life. If life seems jolly rotten, there's something you've forgotten, and that's to laugh and smile and dance and sing. When you're feeling in the dumps, don't be silly chumps. Just purse your lips and whistle, that's the thing. So always look on the bright side of death. Just before you draw your terminal breath. Life's a counterfeit when you look at it. Life's a laugh and death's the joke, it's true. You see, it's all a show, keep them laughing as you go. Just remember the last laugh is on you.
Well, unfortunately, you don't get to see the interview with Joel, which is probably better because there was a young woman involved, and we could be accused of flirting with her. She actually guessed Joel's age at 45, which I find humiliating because somebody the other day said I looked like an 80-year-old man. But, you know, what can you do, huh? That's what happens when you go bald. Hello, Peter. Oh, we have a picture of Peter. It's a Photoshop of you and Don Mattingly. Yeah, there you are. With Mr. Met giving everybody the finger. Oh, he says, there's his Marlins. He's the manager of the Marlins now. Do you want to see Donnie baseball manager of the Yankees someday?
You know, it would be great, but honestly, I'm not sold on his capability.
Well, he did a good job with the Dodgers.
But John, the Dodgers were stacked.
Yeah, and he didn't bring them in. It's kind of like Buck Showalter, isn't it?
Exactly.
Yeah, Buck could never bring a team in. It took Joe Torre to bring him in. And I think Joe Torre was a hell of a manager.
But who would have thought Aaron Boone would have done as well as he's done? I mean, it's only a season and a half, but...
Right, and he's a third-generation player.
Yeah.
Did either his father or grandfather ever manage?
I want to say Bob Boone might have managed a little bit.
I think he did. I know he was a coach for a long time.
Yeah, I'm not positive, but yeah.
How does this team keep winning when they have such egregious defense?
What do you mean egregious defense? Where are the holes in their defense? I mean, you got
They suck defensively.
Urshela at third base, and Torres, and geez, the Swiss Army knife of all time, LeMahieu, and the outfield's good. I mean,
I'm not the only person that has complained about their defense.
Really? Because
Jerry Remy.
One of the best arms in the league, and
I'm counting Jerry Remy and the Red Sox announcers.
Oh,
so maybe there's bias.
No, seriously, if the Yankees have a weakness, it's starting pitching.
How come they didn't pick anybody up?
That's a great question. I think that maybe the asking was too high. You know, they didn't want to give up some of their prospects. Maybe they feel like they're built to win next year, maybe, so they didn't have to give up anybody. So I don't know.
You know, it's now like more of a Red Sox type of team where they're relying on the farm, which in the entire George Steinbrenner era and the original, Hal and Hank, Tweedledum and Tweedledummer, they didn't. And they had all these
it's a very
great...
different model.
Yeah, and it is, I think, much more successful when you have these guys that have played together.
Well, there it is. And so you've seen the proof of it with the next man up scenario. You know, guys like Mike Tauchman. Look at him. Who heard of this guy before 6 weeks ago?
Yeah.
Gio Urshela. Who heard of him? I mean, for God's sake, the list goes on. So, I mean, last year was Torres and Andujar. I mean, these guys are just catching fire when they get their opportunity, and it's amazing. Guys like Domingo Germán, he was like a long reliever last year. Now he's the ace of the staff.
Yeah, but there's something odd about this season. Like the Dodgers didn't pick anybody up either. I wouldn't have the Yankees at the point they are right now, but of course I wouldn't have the Red Sox at the point they are at now. What do you think has happened to the Red Sox?
It's hard to say. I think some of the pitching hasn't shaped up the way they had hoped. They didn't get Evaldi back. Sale has been a disappointment. So it's really hard to pin it down. That's had a slow start. So. And
we're not getting two MVP years out of our two, keystone players. Not keystone, They just Mookie.
Martinez has played well, but not great. Devers has played very, very well. But, I mean, they're still a strong team. Look what they did to the Yankees last weekend. They're capable of putting it on you. So.
Did you see either of the games in London?
Oh, absolutely.
What do you think about playing in London? Your team won, but it could have gone the other way, A friend of mine, Mark, was there and said...
The thing about it is it's such a disruption to the team's schedule and, the whole rhythm of the season. I understand growing the game, but is going to London really going to do that? Do you really have to grow baseball? I mean, it's huge in Asia. It's huge in Latin America. I guess maybe they're trying to export it to Europe, but I don't know. I don't think the juice is worth the squeeze on that.
Yeah, because, it's not even an Olympic sport anymore. I think it was an Olympic exhibition sport.
There's the World Cup Classic, whatever you want to call it, but I think it's just showmanship at best.
Well, my father, his father-in-law was at both games, and he enjoyed it himself, but he's a real, sports nut. In England and Europe, every country, they got sports nuts, that just love sports. And my nephew was here, and he went to see the Red Sox. They blew it. They were up 9-4. But
that was a slugfest.
He brought some of his friends over, see the States. He came over with my brother, and they're playing catch. But then I'm sitting with him, and he's asking me about balls and strikes and all that, because I realize as much as he's into baseball right now, they really don't know the basics of baseball. And
And this is from a group of people who root for cricket. I mean, I don't understand cricket still to this day.
I've tried to watch cricket. I was back in the 80s when I visited my brother. There was
Good
no
God,
baseball.
It could take 3 days. What the hell?
Yeah, one of those. Then they score 100 runs. Because I said,
people complain about a 3-hour ball game.
I said something to him. You know, baseball is the only sport that it's the person, not the ball, that scores. But I was wrong because cricket, which I guess, baseball comes out of an English game called rounders that was brought with the English settlers to America in the 1700s. But Jesus, who do you think is going to win the American? Who's going to give us your rundown? AL East and the AL East, AL Central. We'll go with the AL, the divisions, and then the wild cards.
So the Yankees are going to take the East.
I think so.
I like the Indians because I don't know that the Twins really have the pitching to finish it out. The Astros, God, they picked up Greinke. That just was a nail in the coffin between him, Verlander, and Cole. That's just a tough.
What a
that's built
pitching
for a
staff!
series.
My God, it's like one of the great staffs. But of course, it is 2019.
Yeah, but
I don't see any of them going downhill.
Laugh, but I'm going to say that the Yankees are going to win the championship because I think they're ultimately the strongest, the most balanced team. I mean, that bullpen is just outrageous. I mean, but then they say good pitching beats good hitting, so that the Stros could beat them. But it's going to be Yankees and Astros in the championship series.
Who do you think is going to win the West, though?
In the AL?
I haven't even been following the West. Yeah, who's going to win the West?
Yeah,
is it
the Astros should win that. Yeah.
So Astros are West, Cleveland. Yeah, I keep thinking of the Astros and putting them. I'm still thinking of them in the National League where they were in the West too for many years. I don't remember what they were the last time in the NL when they were in the NL. I think they were in the Central.
They were awful. 96 maybe with Mike Scott.
You mean 86?
86, yeah. Weren't they in the late?
The Mets beat them in the NLCS. Well, the Astros got into the
they were in the series
in 2000 with Clemens and Andy Pettit.
Yeah,
2007. Oh, what year was that?
No, it couldn't have been 97.
2002. No, 2002 was San Francisco and L.A. 2003, Arizona beat the Yankees.
No, that was 2001.
Oh, so they were 2003.
2003 was the Marlins.
Marlins beat them. 2000, the Yankees beat the Mets, right?
Mets, yeah.
And the Arizona beat you. What year was the Astros in?
01. That's when Louis, what's his name? Louis Gonzalez? What the hell is his name? Louis. I can picture the guy, Louis Gonzalez. Let's say, I don't know.
Oh, that fat guy?
Loop, broken back, huh?
That fat guy?
No, tall, lanky Hispanic guy hit that loop, broken bat single off Rivera.
Oh, the Astros were in the World Series in 2005 when the White Sox finally won. The Red Sox threw off their curse, hadn't won since 1918, and the White Sox hadn't won since 17. Of course, they are always the infamous team that threw the World Series.
That was with the great Ozzie Guillen as the manager.
Hey, he got in there, huh? You can't take that away from him.
Yeah, what happened though? He fell off the planet.
Well, it's like I used to talk to Mr. Baseball. He used to complain about Casey Stengel didn't start Whitey Ford in Game 1 of the '60 World Series. I say, you don't know. Whitey Ford might have been drunk the night before, and with the Mick, there's a good possibility that happened.
Ken Stabler of baseball.
He could have been, crawling every bar in New York. You don't know what his condition was.
What do you think about this kind of youth movement that's going on in baseball? I mean, you're seeing teams getting much, much younger. And some of these older guys are not getting offered contracts after they've had, pretty good careers, and
Well, it's
a little older
NFL.
and-
They're copying the NFL where you have young
Yeah.
players and high-paid players, and the middle players are, I don't like to use the word exploited because they're getting paid. Like, we should get exploited like that, huh?
No, they're getting a chance and they're capitalizing. I mean, the Yankees are a good example. I mean, look around the league. I mean, you see all these young guys just crushing the ball and young pitchers. I don't know. It's different, and of course,
It's better, I think. I think it's better.
I agree.
Look at the Yankees paying for performance. You've still got Ellsbury on your roster making $23 million a year.
Yeah, he's a latter-day Bobby Bonilla.
Oh, geez, I think even Bobby Bonilla, I'd give the edge to.
yeah, at least he was healthy.
I mean, you guys paid for one good season he had.
Yeah, he never was what we bought.
Scott Boras couldn't have robbed the old Tweedledummer Yankees of Hal and Hank Steinbrenner if he'd gone in there with an automatic weapon, I mean,
I think the biggest robbery ever was Kenny Rogers. Not Kenny Rogers, but
I know who you're talking
from
about.
L.A. Oh, geez. He had a bad back in the 04 or 03 World Series. Or no, maybe it was
Well, you can't say.
pitcher. Not Kenny Rogers. He had a devastating splitter.
The guy on Cardinals,
Brown,
right?
Kevin Brown.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well-
he robbed him.
Well, pitchers are one thing. Pitchers seem to be able to go south, just like that. Even back in the pre-steroids era, pitchers were all... Look at Jim Lonborn, He goes skiing and
Randy
breaks his leg.
Messersmith, he was like the original bonus baby.
He was the
in terms
first...
of, free agency.
He was the first free agent. Him, Messerschmitt, and then you had Don Gullett. Yeah, Messerschmitt's arm fell off. Then Don Gullett, who was just a kid, the Yankees picked up, and he blew his arm out. I remember when Tom Seaver came over, what was it, in 78, when the Mets and Dick... Remember Dick Young? You're too young to remember Dick Young, the sports writer.
Dick Young, Daily News.
He ran, he became a real crank at the end and helped run the original Tom Terrific, folks, out of New York. And he said
he
that...
came back and won his 300th game in Yankee Stadium with the White Sox.
Yeah. Then Don Gullett, he said he wasn't using his legs properly. He was throwing with his arm, where he should get his power out of his legs. But by then, it was too late, He'd already wrecked his arm. Think about pitchers in the old days. But, when you have position players, you're paying for past performance. Now, the most Branch Rickey was one of the greatest general managers of all time. Would get rid of a star player when they were 30 years old because they'd already reached their peak. And the most notorious misfire of that was when the Reds in 1965 got rid of Frank Robinson because he turned 30 years old. Frank Robinson, the NL MVP in 1961, then won the Triple Crown with the Orioles, became the first person to win MVPs in both leagues, and had 6 more outstanding seasons. Well, 5, and then he went to the Dodgers. He was still a potent player. Just came up short of 600 dingers and 3,000 hits.
Don't they say better to get rid of him a year too early than a year too late?
Yeah, but Frank Robinson had a great year in 66, 67, 68, 69, 70, 71, and he had a good year in 72. So we're talking they got rid of... He was very unusual. Him and Carl Yastrzemski before performance-enhancing drugs. It's very unusual for a player to last beyond 35. I mean, Babe Ruth was unusual in that he lasted to 39 years old. Jimmy Fox was through at 32 or 33. And,
that's typically the early to mid 30s is the end of the road usually, but especially the Babe with the life he led.
Yeah, but think about the talent the guy had. Now, it used to be said right up to the early 80s that power pitchers blew their arms out. But then you had, and a finesse pitcher would last. But that was disproven when you had all these great, Tom Terrific. He used to strike out 200 batters 10 years in a row. He set the original record for that, 10 seasons.
Ryan.
And Ryan just went on forever. He was 46 or 7 years old. And then you had Randy Johnson. My God. It must be that
in his 40s.
sports medicine after Tommy John. And
Yeah, Randy Johnson might be kind of an anomaly. He was a little bit later. And,
6'11".
It was a perfect game at 40 years old.
But he had sports medicine advanced so rapidly, too, because Tommy John would have been through. He had that surgery in 76, right? Yeah. He didn't have, it was 76, he was out the season. That was the first time they repaired a tendon in a forearm. And then when Roger Clemens was a minor leaguer, he was the minor league player of the year. And the Red Sox had got him, and then he blew out his rotator cuff, and it was repaired. He was one of the first people, because remember Larry Heisel, a position player, the great player with Milwaukee, he blew his rotator cuff out, and he was through. He did that about 79. 2 or 3 years later, Clemens came back. So you have to think that in the old days, all those unnatural... Well, you've actually pitched. You pitched semi-pro ball. Would you say what they say, that pitching is the most unnatural of all... most unnatural motion on a athlete's body?
Yeah, absolutely. The physiology of it, throwing overhand. That's why you see, the comparisons to softball. You see these women players will throw back-to-back doubleheaders and not have a problem. But yeah, baseball, it's completely unnatural. And between the shoulder and the wrist and the elbow, the joints, you're bound to have problems sooner or later.
Yeah. Hey, Jim Bouton died. You have any comments about Jim Bouton? Ball 4, the man who wrote the first real expose. And remember, he's the one who exposed that Mickey Mantle, because Mickey Mantle was God in 1969.
Sure, nobody wrote
70.
things about him.
A book came out either 70 or 71, because he had been on the Pilots in 69. And they revealed that the Yankees and Mickey Mantle were, what would you call them, horn dogs?
Yeah.
For Mickey Mantle, the idol of youth, Sure. We can't actually talk about this on a family television show. But, Jim Bouton, that's the end of an era. Everybody,
He actually had talent, too, People forget that.
He was a 20-game winner in 62.
Yeah. He was good, in his time.
Right, but just a journeyman pitcher. But he was on those great Yankees teams. 62 is a great team. He came up in 62 because I don't remember if he was in the 61 World Series. He's 62, 63, and 64. Oh, that's right. You weren't even born then. How are things with you baseball-wise? You still coaching the kids?
I did coach a little bit this year. My son's coach pitch team. He's a 7-year-old, and so, it was going back to the roots of coaching with the little guys, and it was, rewarding as always. But I have to say, coaching at the high school level is much more fun in the sense that you can, actually get players to do things that are more real baseball,
Right. I remember when I was in Monterey, I was in Carmel that time. Was that a high school team?
No, that was 12-year-olds, but I did coach my son Jeremy's team for 4 years in Italy, of all places.
And what does sports do for a youth?
I think just the camaraderie, the teamwork, the having each other's back, depending on each other, being responsible, all that put together is kind of reinforces some of the things you try to teach them with schoolwork and so forth.
Hey, I remember watching you. You weren't one of these win at all costs type of fathers, and neither was your group. So the kids actually had fun.
Yeah, no, I feel like part of that is teaching the game. Part of it is making memories for the kids. Because they'll remember their youth, baseball for a long, long time. I still remember, and I remember some of the coaches I had who were very, hard on us and
I hated that.
Insensitive, let's say.
I hated that stuff. It should be fun. Baseball can be fun, and when you take that away, hey, I got to talk to Brendan for a second. Brendan, are you there? Can you find at like 2:30 on that tape Joel, and we'll go with Joel to make the switch. I'm going to bring Norm on.
All right, give me a sec.
Okay. Any last thoughts about the National League? Who do you think's going to win the National League? Dodgers? Will they repeat?
The Dodgers are strong. They've got pitching. They've got hitting. It's going to be really tough to knock them off. I don't think Atlanta. If anybody's going to do it, it'll be Atlanta.
Okay. Hey, Brendan, we'll have Joel next week. We'll put him on.
I got it. I'm ready.
Oh, okay. Let's watch Joel while you come on. It's only 3 minutes.
I miss being on TV, but life goes on. I moved on, and I'm very happy.
Why are you refusing to come on the all brand new Hopwood Large Wednesdays at, is it 3 to 4? Yeah, 3 to 4.
3 to 4.
We'll have to edit that part out.
Well, first I just heard about it maybe about 3 hours ago. I didn't know you switch from Tuesdays to Wednesdays. But maybe, maybe in the fall when the weather gets a little cooler.
Fall? Everything's supposedly the fall.
I know, but
oh, there's our waitress. Say hello.
Hello.
Yeah, a new lawyer here, folks, in Manchester.
Yes.
She is headed to the Big Apple.
That's true.
The Big Apple, yeah. Are you a Yankee fan or?
Was that White Plains? You're going to White Plains.
Yeah. Right.
That's where Biggie Smalls died. Somebody had a shirt on.
Now, White Plains, that's in Long Island. Is that correct?
No, it's just on top of the city.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's where I used to live in
Is
Dobbs
this
Ferry.
Facebook Live?
No, I have a TV show.
My daughter lives in.
He used to have the
Long
radio
Island.
show.
I didn't sign any waivers.
Yes, but
Very
you
good.
can't sue me because, like Joe Lavasser says, I am settlement proof because I'm a disabled veteran and I'm broke. So
you're a
Ted
veteran.
Gatz has sued me.
What
though.
branch?
Army. They wouldn't let me
What?
in the Marine Corps.
Cool.
What?
I was in the Guard.
You were?
Yeah.
What was your
MP.
MOS?
MP.
Really? Really?
I was.
Yeah, I just finished my 6 years. So.
Oh,
Well, I was 98
6
series.
years. Wow.
I was military intelligence, but MPs were usually with us.
That was-
Our
If I had gone active, I would have tried
Yeah.
for that. But
I gotta tell you, if I owned a variety store that sells beer or whatever wine, I definitely card you because you're only like.
What does that have to do with being an
She was
MP?
like, only like 18, 19 years old.
and what
Wow.
is that?
Not
What
the
he's going to
worst
arrest
thing I could
people?
hear.
Yeah.
Worst thing.
Yeah.
How old do you think Joel is? Come
Well,
on.
if I guess his age, then he has to guess my age.
Okay.
Well, he's already got an 18.
Yeah. 18.
But it's not 18, but you know that.
Yeah.
The older I get, I'm not sure if I'm better or worse at this game.
We'll be the judge.
40.
Oh my God! Come on.
45.
I doubt about 20 years on there.
20 years more than that?
No.
I'm not.
No, more than 20.
He is a baby boomer.
How old are you?
We all
Don't
are.
tell me.
Take care.
Pushing 70.
No, you aren't pushing 70.
No, but it sound good though.
If you're 45, Jesus.
Yeah, 45.
Jeez and pro.
Well, you know what? I keep my face very, very young.
I'm not even going to tell a story where somebody thought I was looked the same age as a guy in his mid 80s.
But
She's a younger girl, a younger woman.
You know, people think, when people do guess, people say 52, 53. And when I really tell them, they go, oh, no way.
Jeez. Hi, and welcome Norm Moody of Norm's Community Corner.
Right.
And Norm, you have some guests coming
Yes, I
on.
do.
You can
Candy?
introduce.
Carrie and John. And they're going to be coming on my show next.
Okay.
And we're going to do a live reading on them.
Okay.
We're going to tell them how sexy they are together.
Oh. Can we get a wide shot, Brendan? Because I don't know how. Oh, you need to come in a little more.
Yeah.
And I need to come. Oh,
You're fine.
feeling sexy.
Ooh,
in here
all
one
right,
day.
Johnny. Ooh, they might find out what we won't tell them what we do behind the closed doors.
Well, yes, you know.
John
we
is
need a
actually
mystery.
my friend. You got my vote, by the way. John is running for council
Alderman
alderman
at
at large.
My nephew came from England. He said, "What's an alderman?" Because it's a German term. Because in places like Chicago, when the aldermen would come in the 1880s, they'd have an alder branch, you know, because of the mysticism of trees.
Right.
And Celts were into that too. And I was talking about that on Matt's show the other day. But that's not. What's in? And are you? Why don't you introduce yourselves?
Yeah.
Okay.
My name's Carrie, and I'm a holistic nurse.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah.
I went to a holistic practitioner in England last year.
Yeah. Pull your mic up close so they can hear you. And John?
Yeah, I'm John Petruccio, and I'm a business coach, actually.
Oh, okay.
Business consultant.
See, I have a Ouija spirit board as my new thing. It says yes, no, and it says something else. But I'm wearing my old glasses because with all I can't find them, Norm.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to look.
Actually, you lost them on the ground.
Probably over at my sister's house.
Right, and then now squished up.
That's not the first time. Usually I take them and this, that, and the other thing.
And you know, Glenn is running for, wasn't it mayor?
Yes.
So we got
But he
two.
won't come on my show.
No. Well,
you
he's
know,
an oddball.
I'm boycotted by the Democrats and the Republicans.
Isn't that sad?
Not really.
No, I mean, it's so sad that people have to judge you for the party that you
Is that because you don't take sides? Is that why?
No, because I call the New Hampshire Democratic Party the Ray Buckley Party, formerly New Hampshire Democratic Party, and Ray and I are not exactly.
Do you know, I invited him to come on my show.
You did.
I'm still waiting for. I invited the chairman of the Democratic Party and the chairman of the Republican Party.
I don't even know who that is.
Show.
Right
I don't
now.
either.
Used
You're
to
gonna
be Jennifer Horn.
Yeah, you're going to be co-host with them if they actually come on. What do you think?
You mean we're going to have like apparitions?
Right.
I'll tell you what, it's got to be better than actually interviewing real politicians. I go back to 1980.
Yeah, is there a real politician?
I don't know.
What do you think, guys? Is there a real honest politician today?
I'm apolitical, so I
Good for you.
know any of them.
See, I'm running for Queen of the Year.
You know, I've been feuding with Ward 2.
Really?
Yeah, I call it hipster heaven. You know, they have to redo the streets while, you know, Ward 10 could use, well, you know, Bill Berry takes good care of us, but they're always whining. We have the northeast section is what you call the rich, B-I-T-C-H section of this town. But, you know, that's a word we don't use. Polite people outside of a kennel. And it's been a long time since we had a dog show on Manchester Public TV. But that's the rich B-I-T-C-H section. Right. Oh, my God. Oh, we need to repave the street and put a bike lane down it and this and that.
That is the most
Did they get
stupidest
It's not California, right?
Yeah.
Did they get it?
Oh, of course they did.
Right.
Yeah. And
Bike lane too?
I call it hipster heaven.
Wow.
Yeah. That's the most waste of money, putting that bike lane in.
And this is absolutely true. I was down there. There's this restaurant called Texas, and you know my nephew's there, and there's a bunch of kids, so you know, place to go get a steak economically. That's down in the South End where the old Kmart used to be.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden, you know, we're having the primary now. This dude comes by. He's dressed, I swear to God, in a little Lord Fauntleroy suit. And he's got a man bun. Yeah. I'm saying, you're in the wrong part of town. You should be up at Ward 2. But so I get these, you know, people pass on information to me, and they said, well, you know, you're just a drama queen. And I won't tell you the rest of the story, but maybe next week or something.
Nobody can be a bigger drama queen than me. I won't allow that.
Yeah. But it's good to feud because I want West Manchester to be its own city. And get the hell out of...
I totally agree with you on that.
Amoskeag, which is the original Amoskeag, is the west side. Yeah. That'd be Keith Hirschman's ward.
Right. And I totally agree with you that the west side should have our own city. What does the city downtown do for us?
And we'd be bilingual, French and English. Well, maybe try.
And Irish.
Well, they don't speak Erse anymore.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Except if, you know, obscenities and drunken obscenities.
Yeah. But you know what? I have some people that lived in my building and they moved to Ohio and they're from Nepal. They're from
Oh
old
yeah, they're
time.
very nice people.
They are great people. They're better than the people that live in my building now.
Well,
At least
it's true.
It really is true. The people that live in the building I live in now, they don't pick up trash. They make a mess. The people from Nepal.
Oh yeah, it's like the in the projects. Remember Joe Lavasser actually cried when he's talking about how the African immigrants have just taken over the place and they spruced it up and they created a community, which was quite different from when he grew up there. And it's just
He grew up there.
Oh yeah, Bill Berry used to protect him from bullies. Whatever you say about Joe, he had a tough childhood and he worked his way out of it. He doesn't like this is an alderman at large. I'm actually running against Joe.
Are you?
Yeah, he said I'm going to get 16 votes.
So that's why you know where the name came from, then, huh? If you're going to be called an alderman, you want to know where that.
No,
Yeah,
I just
think
know
it should be
those
called.
things.
If it's going to be politically correct, it should be alderperson.
I think it should be city councilor.
I like that.
We need a
because you
city
got-
councilor, and West Side should have its own alderman at large.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
But this is not what we're talking about.
got-
What brings you to Norm?
Oh,
We're
I met
interested
you
in
on
your
Facebook,
stuff.
right?
On Facebook, I've got invited. We got invited, actually.
Yeah.
Oh, so you're
Yeah.
going to have a reading.
For
Yeah.
reading, and
Well, when I'm
Norm's
gonna
becoming a
tell
good
that.
friend now.
Oh, what I'm gonna
Keep it
tell
for your
you.
show,
Oh,
We don't want any,
baby. We won't let out the secrets.
No.
I won't tell her what she did as a young girl in her past life.
None of that, Norm.
We'll be
Yes,
nice.
he will. I can tell.
I met a woman that was here at the studio. It turned out she's a lineal descendant of Lady Jane Grey. Not lineal, because Lady Jane Grey didn't have... She's the uncrowned Queen of England that they put in, the Protestants put in after Edward was it the 7th died. And they chopped her head off.
Oh,
I missed it.
jeez.
And so she's not a lineal. It's the other...
Yeah.
I can't remember.
Who's they? Who cut her? Who did that to her?
The Catholics. The people that
very
supported
nice.
Mary Tudor. Because, you had the Reformation and...
Oh, jeez.
Yeah,
Little
and
time-
there's been BBC series about it since time immemorial.
Everybody talks about Christianity. They talk about and back in, they burn them at the stake. They cut their heads off. That's why I don't believe in religion.
Yeah.
I think it's a bunch of hooey-dooey.
Oh, well,
I want your money. Then I'll save you.
Well, that's
I'll
true.
save you, John, if you donate to my cause.
Well, that's what they're politicians. A politician's not going to do really anything unless it puts money in their pocket, either directly behind the scenes or campaign contribution. As you see, if you watch the Democratic debates, you see people defining themselves right as they're debating.
Did you watch that last
No,
debate?
I don't watch
Wasn't
it. I covered it. I was a
did.
political
I
journalist.
watched
for
the
years.
last. They were slamming each other.
Mm.
And they didn't say anything good about what they would do for the
Well,
country.
of course. But we got 3 minutes. So,
Well,
and
John,
how did you
thank for
find
inviting
Norm?
me.
Actually, on Facebook.
Yeah.
So you're a Facebook friend?
We're
Yeah.
Facebook friends first, and
He
I've
came
been
on the show, then we
couple
went
of
out to
times.
luncheon.
Yeah.
Are you interested in mysticism, both of you?
Yes, I was interested in hearing.
And, then we got that hot-looking mama. If I was straight, I'd try to steal them.
Well, you were straight once, weren't you?
No. Even though I
Didn't
was
you have a
married.
wife?
Yeah, I had 4.
And you had children?
I had 1.
Oh, you
And
only
actually, I
one
had 2
child.
because 1 passed. And that's Christianity, okay? They said because I lived such a bad life, that's why God took my child away from me.
Oh, yeah, all that
I
stuff.
almost committed suicide over it, That's what I hate about. You and I are going to come back on, and we're going to talk about
Yeah.
Christianity and religion.
Well,
And
I
they're
am a
Bible, too.
Christian, but I also part of the Self-Realization Fellowship. And it's true. This is true. Paramahansa Yogananda is my guru, and he's on the cover of Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. Because George Harrison used to, with all his fame and all his wealth, he used to come to the Mother Center for advice because all that fame
I
and
actually
money,
do a
it didn't mean anything.
Well, you
I
wrote a
actually
song
do a
about
lot
it
of
too, right?
Buddhism.
Yeah.
So-
Well, this is more Hinduism, but Buddhism
Well,
comes
the
out of
guys that
Hinduism.
lived from Nepal, they weren't Hindu.
Yeah. Hey, how much time we have left? 1 minute.
Well, John, thanks for inviting me
Thank
on,
you.
Okay?
And Norm's Community Corner will be on immediately
Immediately following.
after
We'll get
Hopwood
that
Large,
out.
formerly Ward 13.
I gotta drink a shot of vodka first, and then get
No
my
no
and smoke a
tequila.
J.
No tequila.
No.
As
tequila.
long as it's on the street.
Oh, okay.
Then the ACLU will take care of you.
Oh, okay.
Not inside here. Take care, folks. We're either going to have Bill Berry on next week, who breaking the Democratic embargo that
I
might
got
just
Bill.
be imaginary,
Oh, I think-
or we might have Matt Connerton.
I think I got Phil Graciero. Phil.
Oh, Phil's in Bedford, city
Yeah.
councilor. Yeah. You should get him on.
I am. I got a booked.
Oh, okay. Is he up for re-election?
I'm not sure. I'll ask him when he gets here.
Okay. Take care, folks.